present. In fact, all of the board members are present, except for Helen. All of the board members who were present before our break are back after our break. We are moving on to docket number 12-002, the Louisiana Auctioneer's Licensing Board versus Charles G. Jerry Rosato. Mr. Rosato is here and is representing himself in proper person. The board is represented by Anna Dow. And my name is Lindsay Hunter. I'm an Assistant Attorney General with the Louisiana Department of Justice, and I will be hearing officer this morning. You have everybody's name and position from the first hearing. Do you want it again? Okay. All right, Mr. Rosato, since you are representing yourself, before we get started, I'd like to go ahead and swear you in. So if you'll raise your right hand.
Before we swear in, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
I have nothing personal against Mr. Robert Burns, but I'm curious as to why he's sitting here photographing this hearing, which I do not wish to be photographed at. I told him about that at the very beginning outside, and he said, I'm going to do it anyway. It's a public hearing, and I have the right to do it. But what he does with it afterwards, we don't know. I don't know where he puts it, where he sends it. And if you take the camera off of me, I would appreciate it. I'm not going to talk any further or even go forward with this with that camera.
Okay, well, Mr. Burns does have a right to videotape because we are in an open meeting. You know, should he do something with tape that you don't want him to, you have...
I don't know. Nobody knows what he does with it.
Well, I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying if you find that he does something that you're unhappy with, you certainly have action against him.
I'd rather not have to find it.
Mr. Burns, if you're willing to be cooperative, you know, Mr. Rosato has made a request that you not...
It's a public meeting. I'm not turning the camera off. I've not done it for any other licensee. I'm certainly not about to look as if I'm playing favorites. I'm sorry, it's a public meeting, and I told him that.
Get the camera off of me.
You're at a public meeting.
I'm sitting down, and I haven't been sworn in yet. I'm not at the meeting yet.
Well, and I can easily cut all this tape out.
I'm expressing my feelings, not just for me, but for everybody else that appears at this board. I used to sit on this board, and we never had to deal with what we have to deal with now. And I think it's unjust for somebody to come in and photograph us in our business, no matter what we do. I think it's an injustice to us to have somebody photograph it and put it out to the internet. I think it's a public meeting, but it's between auctioneers and what we do, and attorneys and what you do. I do not wish to be on his camera. You can do whatever you want to do with me or whatever, but I do not wish to be on that camera, and I will not be.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. I am going to take 5 minutes, and I am going to call my office and have them research whether, because we're in an adjudicatory portion, we can insist that the camera be turned off. If we make the determination that it can't, then we're going to go forward with the camera on. If you refuse to be sworn in and to participate, that's up to you. The Administrative Procedure Act gives us the authority to proceed without you here, and so we will proceed as though you're not here. If you choose
I'm not trying to be difficult.
I understand.
I want to go through with this, and I want to get it settled, and so on.
And I appreciate that. And in order to fully understand what the law is out there, I'm pretty sure I know what the ruling should be. But we do have somebody in our office who deals exclusively with public records and open meetings. I'm going to speak with those two people, and then we will go forward with or without the videotape. If it's with the videotape, then that's your decision. But I'm just letting you know that we have the statutory authority to proceed without you present. And if we're going to go forward and you're going to refuse to participate, we're going to proceed as though you are not present.
Fair enough. Okay.
So I hate to do this since we all just sat back down, but I want to be as thoughtful as possible here. So we're going to, again, break for 5 minutes. Mr. Rosato's request to not be on tape. And I would say that while I sympathize with you and I completely understand your position, we're going to go forward because there hasn't been presented a reason to make this a private hearing, no safety concerns, anything like that. Mr. Burns is free to tape. Again, I understand where you're coming from, and should you feel like this is unfair, you certainly have the right to appeal this adjudication. It's up to you whether you want to participate. The Administrative Procedure Act, specifically 49955D, gives us the ability to dispose of this case by default. And so if that's what we need to do, then that's what we're going to do. So, Ms. Dow, if you want to present your side of the case, make an opening statement, call any witnesses, put on any evidence, we will be glad to hear it now.
Thank you. With regard to this matter, this is a complaint filed by, we actually had two complaints. One has been dismissed at the request of the complainant. The second complaint that has been filed by Cheryl Hauber, and I have misspelled this for the records, Hauber, in the notice of hearing. It's my understanding from Mr. Rosato today that he has now paid in full the amount due to Ms. Hauber from auctions. Specifically, this is simply a hearing under Section 3125B as to timeliness of the payment of monies due to a consignor after an auction, 30 days from the date of payment, no later than 60 days from the date of the auction. And I would offer to introduce in evidence the notice of hearing, which I have provided. Here. Mr. Rosato has a copy of that already, as well as the complaint form filed by Ms. Hauber detailing the events of the sale. And I would also put on the record that Ms. Hauber notified me that she was made a partial payment of what was due to her before the last auction. The date of that auction was, Jerry, that's
the 20.
It was in June.
June 23rd.
23rd. And that Mr. Rosato has presented me today documents indicating that she has now been paid in full and she has signed a receipt.
Okay.
To that effect. I do not have that, so I would make the offer Board A as the original complaint and Board B the consumer complaint form of Ms. Hauber. And Ms. Hauber is not going to be present today. She could not be present. If we have any questions for her, she has provided me a cell phone number we can reach her at.
Okay. Are there any questions about this evidence from board members?
I have a question. What was the date of the auction?
23rd. June 23rd.
June 23rd.
However, on the notice of hearing, the day of the auction, the original auction, this is again on Hauber, is in her, actually in that complaint I provided to everyone.
I do not have a copy of that.
Here's the board A. This is the charge letter.
That's the charge letter, yes.
And when was she paid?
Okay, hold on, let's see. The date, the items were picked up on February 11th, 2012. The auction was on,
March 9th?
yes, March 9th, 2012. I was just getting down there.
And she was
She
paid,
filed the complaint on June 7th, and she had not been paid as of that date.
she's been paid as of today.
It is my understanding, and he has presented the board with a copy of the proof of payment dated, I believe, today. And this would be the actual settlement from the March 9th. And there were some items, I believe, that were also in the sale of June 23rd.
Right.
And I'll offer that as board C.
Board C, thank you.
Could
So,
you-
all right, Mr.
Those are
Rosato.
the only documents I have.
We'll get you a copy.
Yes, what you can just look.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Ms. Dow? Okay. No other questions for Ms. Dow. Mr. Rosato, this is your opportunity to participate or not. It's up to you. If you're going to participate, I'd like to swear you in at this time.
I choose not to participate.
Okay, then
I
we
have-
don't need
I
any
have-
comments from you if you're not going to participate.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, we have board exhibits A, B, and C. Mr. Rosato is not available for questioning as he is not participating in today's hearing. Are there any questions for Ms. Dow? If not,
I have some questions. As I understand it, the auction was held on March 9th of 2012.
That's correct.
And she did not get her money until June 7th
That's correct.
of 2012. Is that correct?
looking here to see what he provided me, and I have the documents in her complaint actually states she was provided certain funds as payments prior to the auction of June 23rd, but they were after June 7th, which was more than 60 days from the date.
And with regard to Mr. Rosato, does he have any other complaints against him? What is his record?
He's had a complaint for the same kind of thing that was in 2010. The board imposed probation on him. He passed the probation with no further complaints being filed.
And what was the terms of the probation?
Have that here.
And made in full as of today.
Yes, and that's what's reflected in that document. But the actual judgment says, and this is on docket 10-002, they found a violation of 3125. They offered, he had to pay a fine of $500, and it had to be paid within 60 days of the hearing date of September 20, 2010. The suspension was listed as of that date. So I'm sorry, it was no probation. It was simply a fine.
And did he just pay partially as of June 7th, or was all of the money paid by June 7th?
No, it's according to Ms. Hopper, she informed me that this was an estate sale. They gave all of it. You'll see in the complaint, the list, it was an extensive list, that they were unable to get him to pay within the 60-day time period, although they were talking to us, during that period of time.
Well, how much did he actually delay it? I mean, how much time? Was it
Tom of
5
March
months?
9th, the first payment, as I understand it, was on prior to June 23rd, so it'd be around June 20th.
And what about the rest of it?
The rest of it was paid today.
Was paid today?
Today. There were some things in the sale of June 23rd, so.
And how much money are we talking about?
That I would have to look at the documentation for that.
Mr. Lamar.
I would like to know that.
Yeah, I
And
don't
if
know.
anyone would like to get this lady on the phone.
Well, I think he has, Mr. Lamar has.
Check for $5,800.
It was $5,800?
Is that the total? No, that wasn't the total.
Is that, do you see a check?
That was the check that he supposed to send that was not sent.
It was sent today though, right?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yes, as I understand it, the payment of today
Yeah.
was, he paid $3,500 cash prior to this. After his, deducting for insurance and his commission, the amount to be paid, or that he paid today, was $2,114.38. As noted on the exhibit, Board C exhibit, that it was paid by check number 1793, and Ms. Hopper has signed as received.
Thank you, sir.
All right, are there any other questions for Ms. Dow? Any other questions?
And this matters been in 2 years?
Yes, now, again, there's another complaint you'll notice on the notice of hearing from Ms. Bostick. He did resolve Ms. Bostick's complaint around about June 20th also. And that was also late, but she's asked that her complaint be withdrawn. She's been satisfied.
It seems to me like we're getting a pack. Are we opening this up for discussion? Not yet?
Okay, so that's all the facts, that's all the evidence.
That's correct.
The money's been paid, it's just a question of, did he violate the law by not paying within 60 days? Okay, is there a motion?
A motion to go into executive session.
We have a motion, we have a second. Ms. Tessa, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Okay, would I ask you to find Mr. Rosato in violation of what he's been charged with?
I so move that he is in violation of all accounts as listed and discussed.
Okay, and that is with regard to count 2. Count 1 has been dismissed, correct? Okay. There's a motion to find Mr. Rosato in violation of count 2.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please signify by saying nay. Hearing no opposition, that motion passes unanimously. Is there a recommendation or a motion on a penalty?
The recommendation of the committee is probation, active probation for 1 year, and he is to give all of his receipts and proceeds from his sales to the board through Sandy within 10 days, and also a fine of $1,500 to be paid within 30 days.
Is the motion, is there a second?
Where's that $1,500 going?
To the board.
Well, they said we had talked to Adam a while ago, we don't have a record.
No, sir.
That's on something.
You have the authority to
Fines are
fine.
fine.
Fine, we can do the fine,
Yeah,
we
we
can't
need
make them pay
fine,
for
goes to
the
the
sign.
board, right.
That's what that was. We could make,
We don't want to get in this fine, but
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please signify by saying nay. All right, that motion carries unanimously. The board will notify Mr. Rosato in writing of the findings of fact and conclusions of law. Ms. Downs, or any other business?
No,
For
there
a
is-
portion?
That's all, that's for hearings for today.
Okay, then I would turn the meeting back over to the chairwoman.
Okay.
we gotta quit meeting like
I'm sorry?
We gotta quit meeting like this.
So we can just-
Agreed.
I second that.